It's Friday.
Jonathan Mark, Fridays at 8, here on AM 1480 WLEA. Good grief, is it Friday again? Wow, that was a fast week. Well, hi there. Man, it's cold outside. 11, Brian? 11 degrees.
That's what they're saying.
Well, right now I'm wearing, I think, 5 layers of clothes. And it looks something like the Pillsbury Doughboy. It's really chilly out there. Well, anyway, it's Friday, the most wonderful time of the year, as we know, no matter when it occurs. January, June, October, March, whenever it's Friday, and you can't go wrong. You know, even though a lot of people work on weekends, people in news work weekends, Friday still stands out. Even if you work Saturday, it still feels very special. I think it's probably become part of our DNA. No matter what happened this week, at least the week is over. Everyone's in a good mood, sometimes too good. And I was thinking, how many times have you bought a manufactured item and it's not quite right? It doesn't fit or is flawed somewhere. You can probably bet it was made on a Friday afternoon, when someone didn't have their head in the game and were too excited about it being Friday. And I also did a little research on Friday. The 5-day work week, Monday through Friday, was instituted by... Any guesses?
Go ahead, tell me.
Henry Ford, 1926. That's when
Really?
the 5-day work week started. So it was in 1926 that Friday gained its status as, a wonderful, wonderful day. Anyway, enough about that. There were a few items in the paper this week that caught my eye. Where are they? Let me see. Here's one. In The Spectator. I still can't get used to calling it The Spectator. But it is. It's a Spectator. That's its name, and there you go. Okay, there was a story. Wednesday's paper? Yeah, Wednesday's paper. Written by Catherine Ross. I've never met Catherine Ross, but she's a very good writer, and she seems like a really good person. Anyway, it's a story about a deli opening up in West Clarksville. Now, West Clarksville, according to the paper, is between Cuba and Portville. I'm still not quite sure where it is. I guess you go to Cuba and you drive, south, I think, toward Portville? I don't know. Anyway, now it says, aside from the post, this is a quote, aside from the post office, there is little more left in this once booming agricultural center settled between Cuba and Portville, which once boasted an abundance of dairy farms, lumber yards, a tomahawk factory, hotel, barbershop, and more. And at that point, I stopped. And I said, wait a minute. A dairy, lumber yards, a tomahawk factory? I didn't know that there was such a thing as a tomahawk factory. You'd think, is it like an assembly line or something? Or who thought of a tomahawk factory? You think the tomahawks are like and it isn't a capital T. So with these cruise missiles or anything, it's a tomahawk. So I wonder, who thought of opening up a tomahawk factory? Where would they ship them? And another thing, how much competition will they have? You can't. If you look in the phone book on the tomahawk factories, I don't think you'll find any at all. So whoever had that tomahawk factory probably had no competition at all, shipped somewhere or other. Did they have a repair shop? Like, would you bring your tomahawk into a repair shop? Look, I got to have this by tomorrow morning, okay? Could you please fix this thing? Anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. I really have to look that up. A tomahawk factory, or there was one in West Clarksville, and so it goes. Okay, then there was another one. This was in Thursday's paper. This was in yesterday's paper. Now, this is kind of interesting on the front page. This is by James Post at theleader.com, and he writes about Woodstock 50. Woodstock 50 at Watkins Glen International. So apparently it's going to be some big festival, a music festival. Always a nice idea. Music is good,
Were you there the first time?
No. No, I was living in California at the time. We had our own problems. We had Altamont, and that was a disaster. When the Rolling Stones hired the Hells Angels to keep order, you knew it was going to be a disaster. It was going to be
a bit of a problem.
Yeah, it was something. It was something of a problem. So they hired the Hells Angels to keep order. good luck with that. Anyway, he says here, well, it's a quote from one of the one of the organizers is Michael Lang. And Michael Lang was the organizer of the original Woodstock in 1969. That's like last century, a long time ago, 50 years ago. So apparently this is expected to bring between $35 and $50 million in economic impact for the area. And that's a good thing. Money's a good thing. I could probably do with a little more myself. So $35 to $50 million in economic impact, that's really good. But I'm thinking, really? As I said, a music festival is a great idea. But to call it Woodstock 50, really? Give me a break. I mean, that was 50 years ago. And is still harping on Woodstock? I don't know how many people who were at the original Woodstock are going to be at this. They're expecting approximately 50,000 and 100,000 people. And I'm thinking, really? I mean, that was so long ago. This is 2019. You could call it a music festival of some sort, but to call it Woodstock 50, I mean, how many people at the original one are going to be at this one? Okay, and I could just imagine, oh, sure is groovy. Oh, boy, listen to those bands called. Boy, we can still rock and roll. We can still do it. At the original one, they were taking drugs. They were drinking wine. They were dancing in the mud. So it's going to be hard to dance in the mud when you have a walker, number one. And instead of passing drugs, they'll probably, pass around blood pressure medication or prostate medication or something. And instead of wine, they'll probably be passing cans of Ensure. Yeah, you want to do some Ensure? Sure is groovy, man. It's really good. Anyway, so I don't know about that. The idea of a music festival is a really cool idea, and it is. It's very good. And the economic impact, but you got to think of some kind of other name for it. I don't know. Anyway, and because that everybody else is giving their opinion on this topic, I feel I should too. Every now and then I get serious. Once in a while, I'll slip and get serious. But the border wall, or the lack of one, security, immigration, all that. Now, I kind of disagree with the idea that this whole border wall government shutdown is based on politics. I heard that opinion. It's based on politics. Because President Trump is not a politician. Hardly. I think we all probably agree on that. And anyway, even Republicans don't really back him, or if they do, they've been pretty good at hiding it, so it can't be politics. And it can't be principle, because I believe for some time that Washington is, for the most part, principle neutral. Now, there are good principled people here and there in Washington, and Lord love them, but for the most part, I think that their principles are fluid, based on whatever will suit their needs on any one day. Now I feel this way, now I feel that way, it all depends. I think this whole thing is personal. Democrats just don't like Trump. If he wants something, they don't. If he doesn't want something, they do. It's just that simple. It's personal. And it's also detrimental. This partial shutdown is getting pretty serious. I mean, this is what, the 19th day or something? I mean, this is pretty serious. And there must be some kind of compromise. Congressman Tom Reed is a member of the Problem Solvers Caucus. I've never met Tom Reed, but I've read and heard him speak a number of times, and he seems like a pretty principled guy. So if the Problem Solvers Caucus could solve this one, they'd be doing good. And there's a novel idea right there, a great idea, a bipartisan effort to solve problems and streamline the process of government. And I hope they succeed, and that'd be kind of neat. Anyway, the idea of a wall in immigration, 60,000 people a month over the southern border is one estimate. But let's have that. 30,000, or even 1/6 of that, is 10,000. 10,000 people a month. You don't know who they are, where they came from, where they're going, what their health status is, and that's perfectly okay. Well, let's see. You know, there's an old saying, good fences make good neighbors. Everybody's heard that. And no, it didn't start with Robert Frost. It goes back even further. Matter of fact, a couple of hundred years. Ben Franklin said, love your neighbor, but don't pull down your hedge. And that quote is in Poor Richard's Almanac. And most of our listeners, I'm sure, have a fence or a hedge or something between their property and the guy next door. It's nothing personal, but it's handy to have some kind of a marker between your property, your house, and his or her property and their house. I live here, you live there. Very nice arrangement. And if you went rambling over to their property without asking, you could be charged with trespass. And if your neighbor and his friends came rambling over to your property higgledy-piggledy, he could be charged with trespass. Now, if we think of a country as a house, as Abraham Lincoln did, by the way, the properties need a dividing line, a border. It's real easy. So you need something, some kind of order. Now, the border between Mexico and the United States is approximately 2,000 miles. And let's be rational here. Even if we have that, it's still 1,000 miles of wall or fence or something. Because I'm reading that you can't put a fence along the entire 2,000-mile border because it's impractical or something like that. Now, Hadrian's Wall, I did a little reading on this. Hadrian's Wall or something, I'm not sure which, in northern England, was built in the 2nd century. It was only 70 miles long. And I don't know if it worked or not, but it was 70 miles long. I'm not sure how long the Great Wall of China is, but that too seems kind of impractical, really. So better, I think, to have more agents on the border, give them more authority, and put stricter immigration policies in place. Either go through the process, follow the rules, or you're out of here. In other words, build a symbolic wall. A symbolic wall out of process, regulation, and enforcement. In other words, a massive wall of paperwork. Governmental red tape and strict enforcement. If you go through that process and maintain your sanity, you really want to be here. And then I was reading about sanctuary cities or even sanctuary states. States where immigration and customs enforcement agents, ICE, are not allowed to carry out federal law enforcement. And that's bizarre. Now here's a list. Where is it? I have a list here somewhere. Here's a list of sanctuary states as of May 2018, several months ago. These are sanctuary states: California, Colorado, Illinois, Massachusetts, New Mexico, Oregon, and Vermont. And you can be sure New York will probably follow. Speaking of New York, I have another list here somewhere. Oh, here it is. Here's a list of sanctuary counties and cities in New York State: Albany, Franklin County, the city of Ithaca, figures, Nassau County, New York City, Onondaga County, St. Lawrence County, and very nearby Wayne County. Oh, we have
Rob Carolyn time.
Already? Really?
Yeah, can we take a quick break?
Yeah, sure. Okay, fine.
We'll get Rob in with us.
Okay.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
News from the NFL, where the Cincinnati Bengals have reportedly chosen LA Rams quarterbacks coach Zach Taylor to be their next head coach because the Rams are still in the playoffs. The Bengals can't currently negotiate a contract with Taylor. The 35-year-old has no previous head coaching experience. NBA, 4 games on the schedule, including a thriller in San Antonio where the Spurs beat the Thunder 154-147 in double overtime. San Antonio was led by LaMarcus Aldridge, at a career-high 56 points. For Oklahoma City in the loss, their star Russell Westbrook had 24 points, 24 assists, and 13 rebounds. Nuggets knock off the Clippers 121-100. Denver, the top team in the West, now has won 11 in a row at home. Heat over the Celtics 115-99, while the Kings down the Pistons 112-102. Top 25 college basketball, number 2 Michigan wins at Illinois 79-69. The Wolverines are 16-0. They and Virginia are the only remaining undefeated teams left in college hoops. And number 5 Gonzaga was an easy winner over Pacific 67-36.
Rob Carolyn.
Jonathan, good morning.
Well, good morning. Now, I'm wearing 5 layers of clothes, okay? And I look pretty silly. I could barely move here. So what's up with this weather?
Oh, what's up with this weather? It's January. It's supposed to get cold.
Well, yeah, I guess. Okay, all right.
Yeah, we haven't had a whole lot of cold since the Thanksgiving weekend, Jonathan, but this is the climatologically coldest month of the year, January. That's because we have kind of a lag in regards to the solar cycle and then the heating cycle across the planet. Why? Well, 70% of the Earth's surface is covered with water, and water has the tendency to retain heat a little bit better than land, and that's why we see that kind of almost a month lag in the data. But we are headed towards the climatic downturn of the year, right around the 17th through the 21st of January, is where daytime temperatures stop getting colder and start getting warmer on average. We've got an area of high pressure building out of Canada this morning, and that system's going to keep us on the chilly side, not only today and tomorrow, but right through Sunday and into early next week. It's also going to keep the weather relatively quiet. It's going to deflect a storm system trying to come up from the central part of the country and kind of deflect it right through the mid-Atlantic states. A lot of cloudiness out there this morning, Jonathan. We've seen a couple of snow flurries, but they've been confined to the coast right around Buffalo up towards Rochester. I think that's where they stay. As the day goes on, the sun is going to try to peak out. Temperatures are going to be only up to 20 to 25. Sunrise earlier today at 7:38. It'll set tonight at 4:39. Tomorrow, or tonight I should say, we're partly to mostly cloudy, 10. Tomorrow, partly to mostly cloudy and cold, 25 to 30. More clouds tomorrow night, 10 above, but we should start to clear out on Sunday. Highs will be near 25, and by early next week, daytime highs should be up around freezing.
Okay, Rob, thank you very much. I guess I'll see you next Friday.
You got it. Have a good weekend.
We'll be back after this.
From the Fox Business Network, AT&T says it will stop selling your location to brokers without your permission. The company agreed to stop the practice last year, but was still selling it to companies that provide roadside assistance or fraud protection. Amazon has launched a new free streaming service with TV shows and movies. IMDb Free Dive is available on the web or through Amazon Fire TV devices. It's supported by advertising. Fiat Chrysler is recalling more than 1.6 million vehicles worldwide from the 2010 to 16 model years because of potentially faulty Takata airbags. The recall involves Jeeps, Ram trucks, Dodge, and Chrysler cars. Stocks closed higher yesterday. The Dow Jones Industrial's up 122, the Nasdaq added 28, the S&P up 11. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
Imagining a better bank starts with looking at the savings rates most banks offer and saying, really? Capital One is building something better. You can open a Capital One savings account with one of the nation's best savings rates from anywhere, like here, or here, or here. One of the nation's best savings rates. Opened online, at a Capital One location, or from anywhere. That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
For consumers only. Offered by Capital One N.A. member FDIC. Copyright 2018 Capital One.
In with the new and out with the old in the new year. We're talking fiber versus cable, and fiber wins. Empire Access with the fastest internet in town. Fiber speeds 100 meg down and 20 up, bundled with digital TV for just $65 a month. And if you want to share, stream, game, surf, and learn 10 times faster than that, upgrade to gigabit speed. Only available from Empire Access. Ditch that cable and make the switch today to the fastest fiber internet. Bundled with TV for just $65 a month. A savings of over $340. Online at empireaccess.com.
Okay, back we are. Yeah, I was talking about sanctuary cities and states and all that. You know, Wayne County is really close. I mean, it's really close by, and that's a sanctuary county.
Really?
In other words, ICE cannot perform their duties in Wayne County. That's pretty interesting. Anyway, so I think the idea of sanctuary cities and states is just, it's so weird. I mean, if it's a federal law, the federal government cannot enforce its laws in these cities. That's crazy. This is the United States of America, not the untied states of America. You know, if you transpose the I and the T, United becomes untied. And it's kind of becoming untied. I mean, unglued. Anyway, back to the wall there. If you recall Tuesday's address by Trump about the wall and the need for a wall and all that, Chuck Schumer, in his response to that address, and isn't that odd how fast that response came? I mean, it's almost as if they knew what he was going to say, or maybe even wrote their response before he made the statement. I can't believe that. That's impossible. Anyway, okay, let's say he said, what did he say? I have it written down here. I don't remember if he said the United States or America or our country, but he said, let me see, the symbol of the United States should be the Statue of Liberty, not a wall. Well, it all sounds good on paper. Anyway, it sounds good. The Statue of Liberty is a symbol of our country. What a visual. It's great. But Mr. Schumer, being from Long Island, I think he's from Brooklyn, should know the area, should know the geography of the area. Because just north of Liberty Island, which is where the Statue of Liberty is in lower New York Harbor, just a little hop, skip, and a jump north of it is, anybody know? Just north of Liberty Island, Ellis Island. Here's Liberty Island, here's Ellis Island, a port of entry through which 12 million people passed legally between 1892, when it opened as a port of entry, and when Ellis Island closed at some point, I don't know when. Anyway, the majority of these people came between 1900 and 1914. 12 million people. By far, most of them came steerage. In other words, in ships packed like sardines in a can. All they had were the clothes in the back and a duffel bag or something like it, and off you go. You take a couple of health tests, answer about 30 questions, and good luck, you're now here legally. So the process must have been exhausting, humiliating, and exhilarating at the same time. Hey, we're now in America. How cool is that? My grandparents came through Ellis Island on both sides. And Brian, I'm going to take a wild guess. Maybe your grandparents or great-grandparents did too. They came through Ellis Island. In other words, they came here legally, went through the whole process. Now, maybe Dr. Ostrower or Dr. Waddy or Dr. Heinemann can help me on this one. Hey, what do I know? But I don't recall ever reading where these 12 million immigrants invaded the eastern coast of the United States and stormed the shore in landing craft, demanding entry. They came in legally through a port of entry. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't know. Maybe they did invade the eastern coast of the United States, but I've never read it. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Anyway, the problem of illegal immigration isn't quite so evident here. We in the Candacio Valley, we live in a quiet little enclave, if you will, I think. But if you live along the southern border, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, it's evident. I lived in Phoenix for a year. I lived in California for 18 years, 9 of them in San Jose and 9 in Fresno in the San Joaquin Valley. And there, the problem is really evident. Trust me on that. Little personal anecdote. It was in 1983, and I was staying at a friend's house, Mike and Inez, really nice people. They owned a farm outside Fresno. Anyway, we were going to take a motorcycle ride the following morning up to Yosemite. And now, at 1 o'clock in the morning, I figured, well, I can't go home now because I'll ride home like 20 miles, turn around and ride back. I'm not going to do that, so I stayed. And about an hour later, about 2 o'clock in the morning, their yard exploded in total pandemonium. I mean, there was absolute pandemonium outside. There were sirens, there were flashing lights, there were searchlights, spotlights, dozens of cops, cop cars, unmarked cars, dogs barking, a helicopter overhead. 70 people running in 80 directions at once. I mean, it was a real chaos. They're trampling over their garden, trampling over their flower bed, knocking down fences, and people running all over the place. This is true. So we look outside. What in the world is going on? So you heard one word. Immigration, immigration, immigration. It was a raid. I found out next morning, because we didn't go outside. Some of these people have guns, okay? I'm not going to go outside and ask anybody any questions about anything. So it turns out that there was an immigration raid on the farm next door. So they were rounding up illegal aliens. It was quite an experience. So the problem, as I said, isn't really evident here, but in other places it is. And I found myself right smack dab in the middle of one of these things, and it's serious. Well, I guess, oh, by the way, if you'd like to get in touch with me, you can by using old-fashioned email. My email address is, are you ready? Studio1227 at frontiernet.net. And see you next Friday. Bye.